What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today is a scorcher. I typically wear a tank top anyway, but it is going to be 25 degrees over the average temperature for today in April. And we're streaming a little early because the new stream room does not have air conditioning. And so we're going to try to beat the heat here. So we're live and markets are having a day. At least it seems for U.S. indices. The S&P is basically back to all-time high. I'm going to go ahead and admit defeat here. I was waiting for that full retest of 6,160 on the SPX, and man, what in the world is happening? In what reality do we have stocks at all-time high with what's going on in the world? It seems absurd. We saw an incredible recovery from the S&P earlier in March. And man, it just has not stopped. Today, essentially testing the all-time high set back in January. Let me actually zoom in on this. Where are we at there? 7,200, currently at 6,993. Anything's possible, but it certainly looks like the S&P is looking to break all-time high and finally make its move up to about, 7,400 would be the next upside target using our fib tool. Oh man, I did not see this coming. Markets have been so wildly irrational. We've been live on YouTube trading for almost 8 years now. And in those 8 years, we've had absolute crazy volatility, wild times like COVID. But there's never been a moment in time where I as a trader feel so detached from price action. And I don't mean ignoring it. I mean, it just doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason. The S&P pulling almost the exact same move as last year in almost the exact same time. We saw a pullback in April of last year, basically what we saw here again, and back to all-time highs. Oil should be the most bullish asset. I don't know how or why we'd bet against oil, but here we go. Oil yesterday trading down to 87, painting a lower high and potentially breaking out of the flat-topped bullish triangle that we've been watching play out since March. None of this makes any sense to me. I genuinely am at a loss. And like I said on Monday, I just haven't been trading much. I'm still following markets, still following news, but I don't know where the edge is. The edge seems to be like nowhere. I really just don't get it. Maybe it's in insider trading. Maybe that's where the edge is. We looked at Dash on Monday when we saw a DoorDasher who made $22,000 a year, claimed to get an $11,000 tax refund. None of that was all made up. All of that was made up. Anyway, so made up story about a person who's not a DoorDasher on Monday, and we saw Dash rally 17% since then. After coming down and painting one of the most bearish structures on a high time frame. There we go. Maybe, like I said in the past, I think we just have to get into insider trading here. We've been doing too much outsider trading, and honestly, that's on us. At the end of the day, we have to look inward. That's our fault. We need to be inside, not outside. Gold and silver also feeling some weakness here. Interesting. Strength, sorry. Gold trading to a new monthly high overnight, hitting just under 5,000. We've been looking for potentially a dead cat bounce here on gold and silver, a lower high. We were still, though, looking for an extended rally. And last night, with that higher high, that is still happening. It's still largely true. But if it is going to plan higher moves, still kind of in question. I think that this rally is over for now. Our all-time high was very euphoric. Literally everybody was looking at metals, gold and silver, platinum, aluminum, copper. Actually, I think copper just hit all-time high. I just remembered this. Just remembered the alert going off. There's a lot of euphoria going on with these metals, and just like every other market we've seen, especially in crypto, with that euphoria and that big upside move, retail attention tends to be the end. I don't think we have to call for like a multi-decade low like we've seen in the past with gold, but at least for maybe Q2. Well, it's probably too early to call it Q2, but at least for the short term, I think that the breaks are still here. On a serious rally for gold, maybe 5,400, we could see more optimism towards all-time highs again in this year. But for now, I think that this call was correct. We're really looking for a failed rally. Something basically to stop out shorts before potentially pushing price lower. We have not reached back to our target, which is initially just under 5K. That's the golden Fibonacci retracement from our move in March down to our move in March. The golden Fibonacci retracement sits at about 4,900. I'm basically just sitting, waiting, and watching. A lot of markets are being shook up right now. Nothing typically is making sense in a textbook way to me. No, copper did not hit all-time high, but it is rallying. It is rallying. Still kind of looks cooked, but actually, only like 50 cents under its all-time high. Going to keep an eye on this. It's interesting to see copper showing, I'll say, a little bit more bullishness than its partners in the space. The dollar not going higher. As I said, when I said the dollar was going higher, you might as well just counter trade me at this point on the dollar. It seems like anytime I think I know where the dollar is going, it does something different. However, the dollar has returned to major support. This was major resistance earlier this year. We broke out, tested our major resistance for the multi-year or the entire year at 103, painting a beautiful breakout pattern, and of course, lower high breakdown gap. Maybe it's time to counter trade me again here. Technical analysis would likely point to this support being a logical bounce spot, whether it's back to 100 or even just to fill this gap at 99.6. We see a descending trend line meeting a horizontal previous resistance, now potentially support. It is just about the 0.5 retracement from the swing high to low, and typically we look for a bounce here. I'm saying we should look for a bounce here, so that probably means the dollar's heading lower. Sorry to destroy the global finance economy just by being bullish on the dollar here short term. But the dollar is at an inflection point, and this lines up, I think, with what we're seeing in markets. Many markets have hit all-time highs recently and topped out. Now the S&P hitting all-time highs right now as the dollar potentially finds support. We could see a short-term or even a mid-term reversal on virtually all these markets. If the dollar spends next week or the rest of this week rallying back up towards 100, we're likely to see other assets pull back down and correct back to slightly lower prices. I have homework. I did some homework for you guys for today's stream. We'll pull that up. But could you do me a favor? We've been live for about 10 minutes. We're getting through the intro. We're going to look at other charts here in a bit. We're beating the heat together. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button right now. Subscribe to the stream while we're live. Vote in the poll. Say hello in the chat. All these things help YouTube know that you're enjoying this content. And when YouTube sees that you're enjoying it, it shares it out to new viewers and new people. So it's not placebo. It actually works. It does something. So please, guys, hype it up in here. Give it a little energy. I know that maybe, you know what? It is kind of an exciting day. I think I'm just so used to saying it's not an exciting day in markets that it's just the default for me now. This is a pretty exciting day. All time, reasonably or realistically, the S&P could put in an all-time high right now during this live stream. It just happened in this moment. It's pretty exciting. I appreciate you, Peach, Pickle, Nate, Ace of Hearts, my guy, Nimoy, Derek, Randy, Crunk, David. All the boys are here. Josh. This is my fault. I know. I take full responsibility. What's up, Dark? Who else is here? Are the boys here? It's a quieter day. What's up, Toddy? Good to see you, my friend. This is insane. I just don't, I can't grasp it. Maybe you guys have an idea. What is actually happening with markets? Reasonably, major indices completed beautiful pullbacks. DJI, just as we predicted, topped out and back tested the previous high and found buyers. Not back to all-time high yet, but a meaningful bounce here. This was all pretty, not coordinated. It was all in similar timing. They were all kind of doing this together. And that is logical. But I don't get it. Why are we at all-time highs? What is what is happening right now that markets are at all-time high confidence? My only explanation, and I think that this is likely the answer, if you give me 1 second. Was it ES1? Was it ES1? It wasn't ES1. Drop that. Likely the answer, in my opinion, is that simply inflation is running away. I think inflation has never left. It never really cooled meaningfully. We're hearing a lot of speak about tariffs and how we may have been back to pre-pandemic levels of inflation if we didn't have tariffs. I'm going to take a stance that you guys probably are going to be surprised by. I don't think that's the case. I do believe that tariffs are inflationary, at least in the short term. Seems silly to not believe that. But I don't believe that if simply we didn't have tariffs, that we would be back to perfect 2% inflation. I don't think that this is the case. Obviously, we're factoring in now the higher price of energy, though oil is coming down in the last few days. We're pricing this in with inflation as well. Like, I think that inflation was never under control. I think the mental gymnastics, the tweaking of the financial system that the Fed has done over the last few years has created maybe an illusion of cooling inflation at least. I think it's optimistic, but I don't believe it's reality. I think inflation really has never stopped, and I believe that is the explainer for things at all-time high. Remember, inflation is not just necessarily the things you buy going up in price or cost. It's assets going up, while the dollar either remains stagnant or declines in purchasing power. That's essentially inflation. Costs, goods, and assets are higher, and dollar or currency is worth less or less effective. That's my only explanation. That's it. I think it's a good one, but it's my only one. Joining in with DJI's beautiful backtest, let's check out the rut. Here we go. We had another beautiful top call. Again, another one. Man, I should just trade indices. Rut topped out. We looked for the short, back to same play, just back to the previous high. Resistance tested as support. And now the rut more in line with SPX, virtually back to all-time high within 20 points. Currently trading at 2,716. All-time high 2,734. 1%. We could realistically see all of these hit all-time high today or in this week, and that wouldn't be a crazy move. Strange. It feels wrong, doesn't it? It feels wrong that we would assume the highest valuations right now, despite slowing, cooling economic growth. People pointing towards AI and gains in productivity. While certainly AI does and will bring gains in productivity, we've seen in my observation more just cutting of jobs in basically the good faith that AI will replace that labor or be more efficient. I believe we're really just doing that to cut bottom lines, to increase profit margins, to pump the number, to see indices continue to climb. The problem is, I don't think that is an environment where all-time highs are reached, at least not alone. And if they are reached just based on that, the implications of the midterm to the long term should be very bad, right? That's the way I see it. Should be very bearish in the mid to long term, just basing growth on cutting jobs. It's a band-aid on a dam. It's not certainly not increasing like real productivity. I don't know. Not gonna rant about it. We were looking at Rave in the last stream and it was going nuts. It actually traded much higher. Interesting. I was watching this after the stream and the next day and thinking, man, I was telling everybody to be careful, not to buy this. You'll end up buying the top, you'll get wrecked. And while I still believe that was the correct energy to paint towards this, there's been some pretty wild volatility. After the stream, it traded to 14.22 before falling about 50% down. Yesterday, or even earlier today, up to $20. Remember, we were talking about it, watching it at about 11 or 12, and I said, realistically, where do you think that this will go, right? We saw this climb from 25 cents to $10, and everyone's thinking, wow, we're going to have a 400x or something on their money. Realistically, that's not going to happen. I said, but think what number do you think is achievable? And I said $20. A 2x is a huge gain, but it certainly isn't the 400x that you might be thinking. And it's kind of wild that here we are. This hit $20 in 1977, and now it's back down to 12. Without any chart history to really work with, there's not a lot of analysis we can do here. The reality of a coin like this is this can pump until the centralized supply of it, the creators of it, decide they want to cash out. It's a dangerous game of chicken. Let's see, 1618. Right. 2784. Let's put it this way. On a break of the all-time high, 1977, probably looking for low or mid to high 20s, like $27, I think would not be a terrible target. Honestly, if a position's taken now at 1285, I think you're a madman. But if it was taken, I think taking profits at 19 or 20, great target. And then front running this extension at like 25. That's a 2x from here. That could be a great play. I'm not touching this. If you touched it, you did well. That's amazing. I'm proud of you.
If you know,
yep. Yep. I'm proud of you. You did well, but man, you're playing a dangerous game with this. Like, what is, just bring this back to reality in your mind. What in the hell? Why? I know it's a terrible question to ask why, because why is rarely ever important. But in the world, this coin, what is it worth? What's the market cap now? 3.2 billion. It was at a $5 billion market cap yesterday. This coin is like about music festivals and raves and wait. That's weird. Music festivals and raves, or something like that. And you guys know I love music festivals. I love raves. I love the whole scene. But I want to say that even like globally, I don't think that the entire rave scene is even a $5 billion market. Do you? I really don't. I don't know what it is. It could be, but I really don't think it is. The evaluation of this, more than like all those companies put together, seems like an obvious bad investment. That's my opinion. Good luck. I hope somebody made mad money on this in here. That'd be wild. This guy's jacked. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate you, my friend. Let me see this homework. Or I'll read the chat for a sec. What's the market cap? It's currently like 3.5 billion. At its height earlier today, when it was at $20, it was at 5 billion. Like, what is the whole rave scene globally worth? I mean, I don't know, maybe $1 billion. I'm making that number up. Maybe Google can help. Chuck Finley, you want Ben Cohen to be wrong? I mean, everybody does. Everyone wants Ben Cohen to be wrong because that means we can have a much more bullish earlier future. You want to troll him mercilessly. Yeah. Meh, you can troll him anyway. You think the growth is fueled by the growth in M2 supply? We can look at M2 supply there, Childerness. Appreciate you. So that's a good take. And that take is in harmony with what I was saying. The M2 supply is likely the best measure of inflation that there is, in my opinion. I'm not sure why we would use other metrics at all. I think the reason we do actually is so we can manipulate them. So that we can downplay or upplay inflation. But why would the M2 supply not be the most logical measurement, right? It's like literally. Short sellers are pushing Rave higher. That's likely. That's very reasonable as well. Mr. Wobbles tune. What's Mr. Wobbles? Wish to Wobbles. It is wild. It's wild, the attention and interest in crypto and trading in general lately. It's very low. Let me see it. Mr. Wobbles, I'll have to check this guy out. He has a big channel. He gets some big views. If you send me a link in Discord, maybe I'll put it on. You can do that. I appreciate you being here, though. I know that it's weird times. I think that things are actually heating up meaningfully right now. Trump saying that the war is very close to being over. I mean, it's the boy who cried wolf. I don't really know how we can believe that. Though we've been told the war is over already more than a few times. We've been told the strait is open, yet it wasn't open. We've been told now that we're blockading the strait, yet maybe there's ships going through. The whole thing it's just like, as if, honestly, as if it wasn't already hard enough to trust the things this man says, specifically about Iran right now. It just seems whatever we hear, I think is just like easily dismissed. Just a wait and see scenario. Maybe we watch the chart, but then the chart maybe is pointing towards at least the conflict being at a lull. Related but unrelated. Sir Powell of the chairman Fed leaves us this month, and there's some weird comments about it. I think I just play this for you. Hopefully it doesn't blow up your ears.
Have to fire him, okay? If he's not leaving on...
You want Jay Powell out of the way. He said he's not leaving if, you know...
Well, then I'll have to fire him, okay? If he's not leaving on time, I've held back firing him. I've wanted to fire him, but I hate to be controversial, you know? I want to be uncontroversial.
Replay that.
But I hate to be controversial. But I hate to be controversial, you know? I want to be uncontroversial.
I never has Powell said that he's like not gonna leave. It's up to what, Trump and Congress to appoint and confirm someone. He said he's not gonna leave if there's no Fed chair. I've been making this call, and as we get closer, I'm feeling more and more confident that somehow Powell stays the Fed chair. And I do not mean by force. I do not mean like he refuses to leave. I mean that somehow no one gets confirmed, and then he's just the Fed chair by default until someone's confirmed. We live in a clown world. We live in an actual clown world. It is something. But the last FOMC at the end of this month with Powell, tentatively until someone's nominated, the 29th, exactly 2 weeks from now. It's going to be the end of an era either way. It's going to be a very sentimental and important stream to me. I hope you guys tune in. The S&P rallying hard and recovering from war-related losses, I guess. If the S&P is not a perfect example of why narratives just maybe have never made sense or been valuable in trading, I don't know what is. Tariffs last year, April, tariffs, drawdown. This time, war, drawdown. Exactly a year apart. Total different reasons. It just all seems BS, right? What is happening with these markets? Crude markets falling sharply. Ceasefire hopes ease fears. Though I will give credit to the ceasefire that I have not heard of. I think either side currently saying the other side has violated it. So that's something. That's something. Maybe that's why oil is easing. We have some key economic data released today, which I don't have pulled up. Definitely should have. So, key economic data. Wow, Trump spoke at 6 a.m. I guess that's where that clip's from, maybe. Seems really early. U.S. Empire State Manufacturing Index. This is a diffusion index based on surveyed manufacturers in the New York State. Actual came in at 11, where forecast was 0.3 and previous was 0.2. Not actually that familiar with this data point. A massive miss. I wonder why that miss was so massive. Forecasted 0.3, actual 11. I guess that it's supposed to, or it is a leading indicator of economic health. When it moves up, that is people reporting improvements to the economic situation. Manufacturers, at least. Other than that, we don't really have anything today. There are some IMF meetings continuing throughout the day today. We are seeing some Bank of England. We're seeing some other banks globally speak today as well. Unemployment claims will come in tomorrow. That's going to be a big number that the Fed will be watching for their meeting later. That's actually it. It's not so much. I thought there was more than that today. The biggest thing of all, and here's your reminder. Did you pay your taxes? Today is the federal tax filing deadline. We can expect some potential liquidity shifts. I actually personally know people, you guys have told me out there, that have sold assets this year, specifically early April or maybe late March, to cover that bill. And so there it is. Real examples of liquidity shifting due to tax deadlines. Hopefully you guys did your taxes. I also read somewhere that a very low percent of people in crypto report their crypto taxes, guys. This is not a good strategy. It's not a good strategy. Remember, if you don't have any gains, you also don't have, there's no tax obligation. If you only lost money over the last year, you still should report it, but you likely don't owe money. Don't be afraid of that. At some point, all this tax stuff will catch up with us, and we should not get caught. Should not get caught avoiding it, refusing to pay, whatever. That is the whole agenda. That's it. I thought I had more than that. There's just like, we haven't heard anything crazy happen today. At least not, let's see, at least not that I saw. I'm so used to waking up to just nonsense, insanity, that today seems very quiet, despite the S&P being basically at all-time highs. But here we are. Huge gap straight up to the right. Hit a high of 6,999.96. Now, not even a fraction of a percent away. Round down, and we're 0% away from all-time high in S&P. ASML raises 2026 outlook on AI-driven Q1 beat, but shares slide. Yep, because this all made up. Everything's made up. ASML retested all-time high basically yesterday before pulling back again today. I wouldn't say that that is a super awful looking move. However, with all these gaps on the rally up for ASML, it is definitely leaving some on the table, some potential to revisit the 1300s area. Robinhood jumps. Ooh. Something. Let me do a few more of these and then I'll see what you guys are looking at. Ooh, Robinhood jumps. There we go. The least intuitive trade ever on the hood. That's actually pretty solid. Robinhood breaking through 85. Breaking March's high. Could be setting its sights back to what? The 100, 110 area, 100 area. This was, in my opinion, the worst. Yeah, just the worst trade. It looked so bad. And that was almost the reasoning for the trade. It's like, this just looks so terrible that I feel like it's due for a bounce. There we go. 66.9 within a few dollars of the low there. Money flow on the day, wrapping up. That is quite a bounce. 8% today. Wow. Wow. If Hood's rally doesn't stop, like here, like this could rip. Look at this money flow in the day. Rolled over, just splashed into negative, and then shot back out with this big candle. Yeah, back to like 109, 110. Break all-time high, get a little moon math, what, near the 400s? 250, then 400, 260. I can say that pretty confidently. If Robinhood breaks its all-time high from October of last year, I think it's going to 400. That's a crazy call from here, considering it's at 80. That's 5x. Still a long way away from that all-time high. Okay. Allbirds. This is, how can this not be a sign of the top? Allbirds shares jump 400% on plans to pivot to AI from sneakers. How is that not a sign of like the top is in? You're making sneakers and you say, yeah, we're going to pivot to AI. The logical jump from sneakers. Fun fact, most big AI companies started as footwear. None of them. That's not true. That's just not a real thing. Fivefold Wednesday, as the maker said, it was raising capital, pivoting towards AI computing infrastructure. Dude, how can this not be like the top? How is it not a sign of like that the top is like here or coming? That's, you simply just say we're pivoting. It's just like, I don't know, NFTs and crypto in 21. It's like we're pivoting from making burgers to NFT Web3 metaverses, and it's like, ooh, wow, you're up 10x. Wow. Golf clap it. Bitcoin is holding on to its gains for now. Best looking rally it's had in quite some time. Yesterday did close a pretty ugly doji red candle, looking for reversal. We've seen that continue today. We do have a nice little support here. 73,000. That would be a very juicy place to find support and continue higher. I'm not taking a trade because, man, I'm literally just waiting for Bitcoin to freaking do something until I start trading it actively again. However, if I was looking for a long, I think that is the spot to look. Just about 73,000. Now, targeting 80.5 has been a folly throughout all of this. Keep targeting it. Keeps not coming. Well, I think it is still on in the future for us. This 73K long likely played more conservatively. You can still get above 1 RR just using that. More conservatively, let's say just back to 74.4 for a scalp. I think you can get a good RR there from 73. The last thing I want to note, and then I'm going to jump over to the chat, take some requests. It's actually a really good temperature in here. Hasn't heated up that well. I got the windows closed and the blinds shut and stuff. Last thing I want to say is I noticed this yesterday. When we look at Bitcoin from its previous low in November until when it broke down in structure in January, 71 days passed. I brought this up before, but I think it's a good reminder. You should keep looking at this for the next few days. 71 days from our low in February brings us to April 18th, this weekend, Saturday. If Bitcoin has not broken down by April 18th, we'll say 19th on Monday, it will have spent more time moving sideways than the previous leg. In my observation and experience in trading, this is typically a sign when you see a market trending in one direction, consolidating, accumulating, distributing, whatever it is. When the legs start taking longer, it is, in my opinion, typically a sign of a slowing momentum. I think that's bullish. It is probably still crazy to look for continued upside until we have some kind of break from this very, very familiar pattern of a bear market. But typically a sign of losing momentum. When we are in a parabolic advance, what we'll usually see is a move up with a consolidation, a move up, a consolidation that is shorter than the previous, a move up, a shorter consolidation, and then an all-time high or an all-time low, blow off top. The same is true in reverse. If these legs start taking longer, they're likely showing an exhaustion and selling. And an exhaustion and selling is not a crazy concept. In fact, if we never had talked about a 4-year cycle, we never saw it happen, and Bitcoin's highs and lows weren't connected really in any way by time, I would be looking for a bottom on Bitcoin. The only reason I remain looking downward is the timing. We have seen the 4-year cycle play out in October of last year again as the high, just as it has all the, 3 times before that. We've been falling. The falling pattern looks like the previous bear markets. But if we didn't have any of that, I'd be looking for a bottom. I don't see an eagerness to sell. I don't mean retail, I mean on the chart. We've seen a 52% decline, which is a very small decline for Bitcoin from an all-time high. But with this potentially lengthening, that's showing, I think, exhaustion and selling. Now, we do have something similar, I'll say, like back here in the previous bear market. We had this long distribution before we fell, a shortened distribution. And then look what happened here. As soon as that distribution took longer, the selling was more exhausted. We did have another low. You can say that was from FTX. That was, Black Swan. It doesn't really matter. What I'm looking for, though, is that longer distribution led to a very small drop comparatively. It only traded 10% down from the low. And looking at the previous drops, like that is small. That is smaller. Which then marked the bottom, which was the end. The lengthening distribution led to an exhaustion of selling, and buyers overtook. That's the way I see it. All right, enough of my rambling. Hopium, please. We're almost out of the cloud on the day. We've been out of the cloud a whole 1 candle this year at all, January 16th. You can do it, Bitcoin. I believe in you. 2 day crossed up, 1 day crossed up. 3 days not. Just checking. Good. Checking it out. Okay. Guess we're doing an all-time high watch stream for the SP 500. Okay, let me refresh the chat. Let me see who's here. Ace of Hearts, I don't know if you ever sent me that music. Wobbles, there you did. Blood Club. Blood Club. Let's see. Is this going to get me in trouble? Let's see. 11 months ago? Probably not. Probably won't get me in trouble. We'll see. I'm going to blame... By the way, I'm going to blame you if we get in trouble. Okay. Take it. Hold up the chat. Let me see what you guys are looking at today. What are you feeling? Did I miss anything? Did I get anything wrong? Give me the feedback. Craig, you're going crazy, bro. I spent a bunch of time rambling about that today. I feel insane. I feel mega gaslit by this entire year of trading. Maybe the last year plus of trading. I feel super gaslit. We're loyal followers. We don't ask for much. Please send Bitcoin to 90K. All right. I will. For you, Randy, and for all of you, I will. How long can Wall Street go on not reflecting anything real? It's a good question. Great question. I guess longer than we can remain solvent is the answer. Hood is pumping because the SEC is removing the 25,000 minimum requirement. Probably. I did read about that. Thanks for bringing that up. This is why I always bring the chat to you guys. You help me fill in the cracks for sure. So I saw that. That's bullish for Hood. There's really no way to look at that differently. But what I will say again is look at the timing, right? Before that announcement, look at the timing. It's like perfectly when Hood needed to bounce. So was that released intentionally at this time to pump it? Or was the falling narrative of Hood maybe and other retail trading platforms like a catalyst for that removal? I don't know. It's an interesting thought. But it's funny how the charts always seem to know. Also, a reminder that that came out today, but Hood has been pumping all week. Up about 25%. So maybe more insider trading. Oh yeah, M2. I'll look at M2. Thanks, Twill. Thanks for reminding me. When I get in the zone, man, I forget everything. I do not understand oil markets. I agree, bro. I do not understand oil markets. I don't get it. M2. So, M2. This is... I'm not sure why we would use any other real... I guess because inflation could... Like, money printing could increase and not be reflected in M2, especially immediately. If that printed money, as it always does, gets put into government programs or more likely private businesses' hands and is like spent, it would take time for that to trickle into M2. So there would be a delay, but one would assume that ultimately this would be the best metric of inflation. That's the problem with that. Is it might reflect really low, right? From 25 to 26. Actually, no, I still think that feels low. But from 25 to in 2025, that would reflect about a 4% foreign change inflation. And that's not bad. It's I feel like it's higher than that, but yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad. It's certainly higher than what we're hearing, right? Like, oh, it's like close to 2. I don't know about that. And here's the real thing, I guess. It's like from COVID to today, 50% inflation. So 50% inflation over the last 5 years and a quarter. That adds, that tracks. That sounds a lot more realistic. But this is Twilderness was saying that this is likely at least part of, right, why stocks are still at all-time high, why are back to all-time high, why assets are going up. I agree. In fact, January to February, we saw almost a 1% increase in the M2 supply. The M2 supply is going absolutely parabolic. It's really always been parabolic. Always been. Only had the one moment from 22, like the bottom of 22 to 23, where it meaningfully decreased at all. The M2 supply is only up. I wonder if we'll ever see this kind of move again on it, honestly. Pecans. Yeah, we're gonna launch a few scam coins, you know. AI mania, yes. Silver back to 100 this year. It's possible. I think silver has looked weak, though. I think that gold will have a better year than silver. I can't promise that either will have a good rest of the year. One would assume that if they are going to see highs, well, silver wouldn't even be back to an all-time high. But if they're going to see some kind of breakout, that we would have a stabilizing, confident event coming. Stabilizing is probably the key word. You can trade Bitcoin dominance total to others 20x leverage on Hyperliquid. It sounds weird, Luke. I didn't actually know that. Groceries never went back to pre-COVID and never will. Absolutely no. When we say return to pre-pandemic levels, we absolutely, under no circumstance, mean that prices will be back to where they were. What we mean when we say that is that the acceleration of the increase in prices will return to how it was pre-COVID. Meaning, you know, at absolute best, 2% a year. And that's probably never been 2%, but at absolute best. Luke, trading M2. So here's like where my head goes. Maybe I'll pull it up on Hyperliquid. I wonder how. CD. I wonder how that works. Because those are all calculated. I don't know if I can actually find that. Hold up. They're all pretty much calculated effects. So how are they getting the data? Where are they using it from? And then what happens, because we see these calculated charts very commonly have really wild errors. They typically are corrected going forward, but we'll see, I don't know, like Bitcoin dominance go to like 0% or something in a 1 second candle, and then it didn't actually happen. Nothing actually changed. It was just like the formula was messed up. I would be very careful trading those on Hyperliquid. A centralized exchange, I think that it would make more sense to trade those on. But of course, that comes with its own risks as well. Speaking of centralized exchanges, sign up with VYDeFi and FEMEX in the links below. You can sign up no matter where you are. They don't ask for your ID. Follow the laws of where you live. But it helps support the stream. You get some bonuses. You're trading with it anyway. It's good stuff. Let me see. Bitcoin, BTC USD. So how the hell does this work? At least there's a warning on Hyperliquid. You're viewing markets deployed independently and permissionlessly by a third party on Hyperliquid. Trading these markets may involve elevated risk, including low liquidity, high volatility, incomplete documentation, and increased liquidation risks. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, I would not trade these. I wouldn't do it. I just wonder how this could ever work, right? It's new. It's only been trading for a few days. 60%, 50. Well, you can see that this doesn't, this isn't reflective of the actual Bitcoin dominance, right? I don't think it fluctuated 4% in a day in a while. Let's see. Yeah, here's a perfect example of why I probably wouldn't trade this. Look at this. Where is this coming from? According to TradingView, since April 1st, Bitcoin has traded in a range of 58.6 to 59.9. According to Hyperliquid's pair, on April 1st, it traded from 61 down to 56, which is a bigger range than all of the candles, and it has done basically that over and over again. I would not touch this shit. This seems like a scam. That just seems like a scam. Total 2. Again, it comes down to what do you include in this, right? It's like very important what you include in this data, because if I want to manipulate this, I can, and I'm the one who's in charge of how it's calculated. I could make a coin on Solana or something or whatever. I could have a trillion, zillion, gazillion coins. I could have all of them. I could sell myself one for $1, and now the market cap's a trillion, gillion, bazillion, even though none of that's real. The volume's $1, but I can make the market cap a bajillion, and what, just liquidate every short or go long? Yeah, there's a lot of questions with this. Yeah, I think Grizz came on. Yeah, Grizz did come on. Always welcome. Always happy to see Grizz randomly start playing in the background. Looking at Hyperliquid, Hyperliquid has some pairs that are not literally tradable, but they are tradable on Hyperliquid. However, we're seeing that the data is not matching up with other sources. The best one so far is Bitcoin dominance. This volatility does not exist according to TradingView. That looks almost nothing alike. Currently their prices, that's interesting. Currently their number prices is pretty close. 59.65, 59.49. So maybe these movements are like wicks and it just like returns. Yeah, crazy wicks. Like these don't exist, yet they're getting you liquidated here. I would stay away from these. Stay away from them. Interesting though. No, I nerded out for a minute. Catching fraud. What are we doing? Let's got the data. Can you check? You think Bitcoin broke its downtrend on the weekly yesterday? That would be amazing. I think it did break. It looks like it likely did break this trend. Let me see. Rip. No, it didn't. Not on Coinbase. It got close. Close. Came to 76.2. That trend line about 78. Yeah. Close. I wish, man. I wish. I'm praying. I'm hoping. Hip 3 markets. What does that mean, Luke? I'm not familiar. Check the docs. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like I said, I was nerding now. It's interesting. But in general, a low liquidity market is just like basically another way of saying not a useful market, right? I would, yeah. I would just be careful, as it doesn't appear to be any way that you can arbitrage that market. And without arbitrage, markets are kind of just bullshit. Like if there's nowhere else to trade something, then that place can just set the price for the asset. It's interesting. It's cool. I like it. I'm not sure if being able to trade those things is like a good thing for crypto or a bad thing overall. Not that it actually matters. It's out of our hands. But it's cool. SP. Let's break the high. Let's go. Thoughts on Circle? Circle. Yeah, Peach, can you definitely bring that data? We need that data. Interesting reversal here. I haven't looked at Circle in a bit. Interesting place to reverse. This was looking real cooked. A bigger time frame. Resistance, all-time low. Rejected from the all-time VWAP. Higher low at previous resistance. I think you're kind of right in the middle right now. I'd probably be closer to a short, but if you're looking for long on Circle, back to 125. Almost 20% gain. Tip 3 are permissionless contracts on real-world assets, stocks, commodities, forex. That's how the TradFi markets work in these exchanges. Permissionless contracts. With some kind of centralized like source, I guess, either holding the asset or pegging the asset. Giggity, that's what she said. Yeah, I don't know enough about him to make a serious comment. Still looking for that data. That's right. Everyone is quiet today. So everyone's quiet all the time right now. What's up, Star Child? Aria. What's Aria? Don't got the Aria. Let's see. Don't got it. Don't got the Aria. 12:05, and the room is heating up now. Wonder what the temperature is outside. See. That's fine. Just the weather app taking forever to load for some reason. Okay, maybe my internet's busted. 81, it's about to be 85, then 87. Ooh, it's heating up. Wow, Arya looks really bad, my friend. I hope you did not go all in on this. Wait, these are only days? Whoa, 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 whoa. This rugged. This looks like a rug. It was $1. Traded down 91% in 2 days. Yeah, get away from this, whatever this is. This looks like a classic, like, pump fun rug. Like, these steady little stair steps and then boom. Pass. Hard pass. Top gainer is __. Alright. __. I'll get an __. Looks like a rugged. I mean, it just looks like a rug. Like, you see so many things on Pump Fun that look like this. Typically, though, they just go down. They don't come back up. But look at that wick. That wick down to 6 cents, which is basically its all-time low. And then immediately all-time high, and then immediately... Like, this is the one of the most classically manipulated looking charts I think I've ever seen. Wild. __X. __X? The __X network. This coin's for all of us because we're all old. Let's see, is it the top game? Ending top gainers. Let's see. Not according. Wow, according to CoinGecko, an old name that I have not heard in a long time, but people used to say was the future of crypto. Not even traded here anymore. ENJ. ENJ in October literally traded to zero. It had 0 bids. ENJ had 9 cents back in 21, 22. Was that $5? Wow, look at this volume, though. Yeah, volume. That's big volume. That's like, feels like a real reversal. Let's check somewhere that's not Binance, though. Is there anywhere else we can? It's actually on Kraken. Volume's good on Kraken, too, though. Okay. 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 Yeah, volume. Love the stream. Hate crypto, though. I feel you, Alicia. I feel you, Alicia, baby. I feel you. We're all experiencing that lately. This is something. That's something. Went to literally 0. Didn't expect this. 12 cents, great upside target. Back to the trend line, back 618 retracement. What else is up? Alchemist AI, who knows the very tiny. Bio, never heard of it. I don't even see Unk. It's not on CoinGecko top gainer. altcoins, maybe. Bitcoin. Oh. Come back to this. How dead? I mean, if it is dead, I mean, I told you so. I warned y'all. Ooh, does not look good. As soon as it lost 285, it did not look good. Like, this is like what you're hoping for. Like, hoping, praying. Does look pretty bad though, doesn't it? This high is so weak. That's so savage. Man, I told you guys, you know, as soon as we saw all the undisclosed paid promos everywhere from influencers, run. XRP, Bitcoin dominance for the boys, EPLGR, what's up, man? Bitcoin dominance, dude, I don't have any insights. I'm not sure how anyone could even claim to have like meaningful insights on this when it's been within a 3% range, basically, for almost a year. When we look at Bitcoin dominance without Tether, you have a little bit more meaningful data. It looks a little more bullish. It looks like you broke out. Looking for a push to the upside, right? When you subtract Tether from Bitcoin dominance, it's cleaner. You have like bear market bottom, bull market top. Well, no, not bull market top. June top. Breakout, but Bitcoin dominance as a chart has been so meaningful to this channel and our trading for almost 8 years, and for the last year has been completely useless. So useless that I haven't even been looking at it, honestly. What's up, Schmeedy? What's up, Schmeed? What's up, 2-01 Cal? Chuck Finley? Some new names. What's up, J-Day, King Peasant, Matthew Schmeed, Leisha, NJP, Rama, Pickle, of course. Happy Wednesday, Pickle. Man, like S&P is just like about to break all-time high. Slowly. Then all at once. Just do it. Do it all-time high. We're just gonna see her forever. Any recession this year? I feel like we are in a recession, yet here we are at all-time high. I think we're in inflation bull market. Oh, dude, screw it. Coinbase lists all kinds of sketchy stuff. Do not trust them. Do not trust them. They list all. They give no Fs. Coinbase used to care. Like, Coinbase used to be about crypto and, like, what was good for crypto. And now it's just what's good. I mean, obviously, they're a publicly traded company. Now it's what's good for Coinbase. Probably one of the, like, most compelling arguments about the flaws of capitalism is, especially in this system. It's like you become a publicly traded company, and now whatever it is that you were trying to do, whatever it is that, you know, your company did that was good or beneficial for people, out the window. Now it's what happens next quarter. We need the numbers next quarter. Coinbase bear flagging here. I can see a return to 210 though. ETH moving so slow. Ethereum though putting in a higher high. Higher high versus March. Looking for 25.60. Is this gonna happen? Are we doing this? What if we wick to all-time high in S&P and then dump to oblivion? It needs to be like par for the course for this year. Oh boys, it's heating up in here. I have a feeling the second I close the stream that this is gonna go. It's heating up. Will someone think of the shareholders, the poor shareholders? Boys, I'm starting to feel the heat in here. U.S. indices looking for all-time highs. It looks like it could happen today or this week. Could happen right now. We're in spitting range of all-time highs. But I think we're going to wrap it for the day because it's about to get very toasty in here. I can feel it. I appreciate you tuning in. I think markets are about to get really exciting, honestly, into the end of April. So you're going to want to be subscribed. You want to have notifications on. You're going to want to be here for the spice. Jump in the Discord, discord.gg/TomCrown. And if you want to get into our VIP rooms in the Discord, sign up with the links in the video description below. That easy. It's free. Check out our exchange partners, FEMX and BYD-Fi. Great partners of this channel for many years. Really haven't heard anything bad about them so far. It's good. You ever have anything bad, though? If they ever treat you wrong, come to me and I'll sort it out for you. Wow, ASML is losing ground here. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to be live on Friday at the latest. Maybe we'll be live. God, I hope not later today. If we have a crazy move, because it's going to be so hot up here. Maybe I'll have to go to Home Depot now. See if I can get the air conditioner going. But I love you guys. I appreciate you. Love hanging out with you, spending time every